But I am very pleased to introduce our presenter this evening and kick off our webinar series. Beth Trejo is the founder and CEO of Chatterkick. Beth is an entrepreneur herself and took the risk of starting Chatterkick in 2012 and really defying the odds, she notes, of being a successful female-founded startup company. Beth not only prevailed, but she has grown her company. Beth started her social media agency with a lot of goals in mind, like redefining how businesses connect with people and providing a human connection in the digital world. She also had a deliberate goal to advance the role of women in the tech industry and enhance the potential of Siouxland women in order to create real change in the community. She has incorporated her passion for the digital landscape and social media into nearly every role that she's fulfilled. And she also notes that she has also the important role of being a mom of 2 tech-savvy kids. So now the session, How to Make More Money with Social Media, 10 Ways to Say This, Not That, with Beth from Chatterkick. Beth, I'm going to turn the controls over to you.
All right. Well, I am really looking forward today. I have had the opportunity to travel a lot of Iowa. I went to school in Eastern Iowa and have kind of lived throughout the state. So I'm really excited to chat with you all today and share with you what I've learned and some tips and tricks that you can take away to your local business. As Chris mentioned, if you do have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat bar. Molly Keel, who is with our Chatterkick team, is also on this call, and she will be helping to field some of those questions too. So with that, let's get started. So today we are going to talk about how to make more money with social media. I think this is the question everybody asks. Yeah. I will tell you that most of the time people are thinking about, especially business owners, we want to make sure that the ROI of using these platforms is not only clear to us, but it somehow can be tied back. And I will tell you, it's still a challenge to do. But most of the time when businesses come to us and say, hey, Beth, I need ROI on my social media, what they are really asking for is they're looking for clarity. Clarity in how this fits into the big picture of getting the word out about your business, clarity into what is making the most impact and what you can kind of put to side. And then the other thing is these platforms are changing every day, all day. So it really is challenging to try and keep up with all the changes. So I'm going to give you some tips. I understand that a lot of businesses in this room today, in our virtual room, have a variety of different technical acumens. We probably have some businesses that are rocking and rolling on some platforms and others that are just getting started or maybe trying to reinvent themselves. So I'm going to try to keep things high level, but again, if you have questions on tactics or specifics, please put your questions in and I'm happy to answer those. So the first thing we're going to kind of get out on just everybody's radar is the social media platforms. And first of all, I want you to think of these platforms in terms of tools. All right, those lists there, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, think of those as a toolbox. And your business has access to all of these tools in your toolbox, right? And just as if you were building something, you need a combination of tools to do different things. I also will tell you that I have seen the rules broken time and time and time again. So what's in your head about preconceived audiences, the platforms that are falling flat? Do not let that change or direct your business decision too much, because again, I've seen men be reached on Pinterest, I've seen teenagers be reached on Facebook, and I've seen boomers easily reached on Instagram. So I really think it's important to kind of throw those preconceived notions out of our heads and really make sure that we're using the tools. The first tool to use is the one that is easiest for you, because in most instances, it's the one you're going to do. I will tell you, consistency wins most races when it comes to local social media presence. The other thing I want to talk to you about is just the volume game. So you're not going to overwhelm pretty much any of these platforms with volume unless you're just like doing 20 posts a day. But what I want you to focus on for 2021, and this goes for any of the platforms, is quality over quantity. Don't go less than one post a week, but besides that, you can mix and intermingle the different platforms and really focus on what is of value. We're going to talk about this a lot today. What is the value to your customers? Is it what you're selling? Is it how you're selling it? Try to take as much of the learnings that you can from those conversations you have every single day with your customers and apply it to the content you're developing on social media. All right. So the first step with social media, and this is the quickest way to make money. I know this seems basic and silly, but 80% of businesses do not pick up their social media phone. 80%. Do you realize that you have the opportunity to just answer? And when I say this, it doesn't just mean Facebook messages. It means across the board, all those platforms that I listed, you need to have some way to watch your phone line. And I'm using that as just a parallel. It's the same thing of make sure you check your email box. You need to make sure that if you're on those platforms, or even if you're not active, but you have the account set up, can somebody get a hold of you? And if they can, somebody needs to be checking those every single day. So checking is the first step. And then second, high five them, give them a response. So many reviews that are living out on Facebook and Google My Business and some of the other platforms, long reviews. People love you. I've been looking at all of your social media platforms. Take the opportunity to cheerlead and thank your customers. They just spent time telling you how amazing their experience was. Many of you are already doing this, but if you're not, this is definitely something to just level up your social media, is respond to every comment, every review, give them, start a conversation, right? These are probably people you know in real life in small communities. So start up a conversation like, hey, thanks for coming in last week. We really enjoyed, your company. Or how is your family doing? Just continue those conversations, especially again in those local markets. People are so much more open to having dialogue. And I see some of you have top fans set on your Facebook page. Highly recommend doing that. Give people a little bit of attention if they're constantly commenting or engaging with your post. So respond to the positive comments and then negative. What do we do if we get a negative comment? Well, good news is every business has to deal with this, so you're not alone, which means customers and consumers don't get as fascinated or even swayed by a couple negative reviews. It's okay. First step, if you get a negative review, take a step back, calm yourself, because I know I get heated and I just want to angry type back to that person, right? So take a break and really give yourself a little bit of time, write a response, use the first name of the individual, take it offline and give them an opportunity to give you a call and use your name, right? Your local business. So sorry you had that experience, Jim. Please give me a call. Here's my direct number. I'm sure we can work something out. You take it offline, you pacify the external audience that's looking at that review, and all of a sudden it's no longer an issue. If you have the crazy trolls, right, which we all kind of have at times, those are the all caps, this is stupid, or this sucks. They always just it's always all caps. You're never going to make them happy. Those are ones you monitor and don't respond. That would be the one exception. And you just watch, make sure it doesn't get a whole bunch of additional comments or kind of snowball on the internet. And you're just going to kind of want to observe it, watch it frequently, and then forget about it. The research has shown 3.7 stars is the ideal star rating. A couple bad reviews actually builds trust with consumers because they understand we all are humans. We're not perfect. And it's really important that you get those reviews and comments, interaction, because it feeds these algorithms. It's like the food that they need to survive. So the more interaction that you can have, It helps on the algorithm and it's giving you more exposure. But then when you respond back to them, it gives it more and more authority to say, hey, Facebook, hey, Instagram, this is a very popular content piece. Show it to more people. So you want those comments, dialogues, interaction, and you can help fuel that. And this is the easy stuff, right? This isn't technical. Anybody can do it. We put a little idea here. Again, I mentioned this, but use the first name as much as possible. Use your first name as much as possible. It's a lot harder to be angry at an individual than it is a logo. So try to really bring the personality behind your business into your social media accounts with response. The other thing I would highly, highly recommend, never use a canned response. So every time, change it up a little bit, right? I mean, thank you would be one exception to that, but add a little bit of color, add a little bit of energy, and that goes a long way for generating sales on all types of businesses, from plumbing companies to small boutiques to salons. It really crosses the boundaries of industries. All right, number 2, again, easiest way to make money, up-to-date info. When was the last time you Googled your business? When was the last time you Googled your business name plus the city that you're in? I just did it today. I was Googling all of your businesses. And one of the things that I highly, highly recommend is do that as the business owner at least once a quarter, preferably once a month. Because what happens is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, these sites are all really heavy with search engines. That means search engines love them. We call them high authority sites. And so it helps your search engine presence to have lots of social media sites out there. They're all pointed back to your website. They all have interaction, local authority. And so what this means from a business owner is if your information is not consistent, and I don't mean just like I'm on, Jefferson Street, it needs to be exactly the same across all social platforms, especially on Facebook and Google My Business. So if it's ST period, it needs to be ST period. If it's street written out, it needs to be street written out. Your phone number needs to be the same. You want to make all of those platforms have the same name, address, and phone number. Okay, so if you do that, it will help the search engines, it will help the newsfeed algorithm. You will get found by your current customers much easier, and everybody's happy. You can sell more. The other thing that you want to do is make sure you have this real estate on Facebook, on Instagram, on all the different social media sites. Make sure you use that description to your advantage. We're talking about copywriting. This is not, again, very technical. I'm not telling you to do all this fancy thing. These are small projects that will make a difference. Okay, and what I'm saying is Facebook has a long form description, a short form description. Instagram has a shorter amount of space. LinkedIn has a little bit longer. So go through all of your platforms. Just try it. Maybe it's once a week. You just start with 1 month and you're going to do 4 platforms. Make sure that they all look great. The information is there. I saw a lot of your business pages where the logo doesn't fit in the little circles all the time. So take a minute, kind of clean everything up. It's like a housekeeping 101. What happens, and the reason why this matters, is local businesses, again, you're running fast, you're doing all the things, right? You're everything from the cashier to the accountant. Believe me, I've been there. And this stuff is like, oh my gosh, I can't take a second to even like post something. But what happens is, from a consumer standpoint, is that credibility and just the sophistication that you're putting out there online is getting people's preconceived notions. And you don't want to do that, right? You want to look like the best of the best at all times. And some of that stuff is simple. It's resizing the logo so it fits in the circle. It's filling out all the information. It's making sure that if you have something new and exciting, it's out on your website, on your social media pages. If you're trying to sell something and you're trying to sell more of it, the first step is, and I know this seems obvious, but you have to get it out there to people. You have to tell them the value that it will bring to their lives. Help them envision why their life is better with your product or service in it. And that's how you want to sell on social, because that pushy, this is what I'm doing, only works a small amount of time. Most of the time, you want to evoke emotions, curiosity, urgency, relevancy. Am I relevant today? Why do I need this today? Value. What value are you providing me that I need to give you my time, money, energy to support your business? And the last is emotion and entertainment. We call that curve. How can you really support your community and your audience so that they remember you? Because it's not just letting them know, right? It's about remembering you. And I think it was, I'm not sure if they're on the call, but one of the quilt stores, I apologize, I can't remember the name, but they posted some funny, like cartoon meme style piece of content. And someone commented saying your post always brighten my day, right? That's a perfect example of how that entertainment value is out there and it's making someone happy, which in turn is that positive emotion that makes people want to buy things more, right? Because I'm happy. You're so nice. I love you. This is the greatest place ever, local businesses. And so those are the type of things that you want to do more of to help you sell on social. The other thing, and this is really, really key, we have seen posts and value props, so selling products or services with offers 10 times outperform those without. As a consumer, this doesn't surprise any of us, right? If you give us a coupon, we'll buy more. If you give us a coupon for next time, we'll come back. Don't be afraid if you are in the product space, right? So retail, selling items or anything that you have products to sell, this is a really good place to lean on what Old Navy is doing. Look at what Kohl's are doing. Who is your audience? If your audience shops at XYZ stores, go see what they're doing for offers and literally mirror them for your business. They spend tons and tons of money to try to figure that out. It's psychoanalysis, it's pricing strategy, it's all this really hard stuff. But if your audience loves it and you know my shoppers shop at these stores, like big brand stores, completely take what's working and what sticks out to you and duplicate it for your local store and your local business. This is what we call customer intimacy. And it feels a little bit weird to say that, but what you really want to do is you want to get connected to your customers, like really connected. Not just they come to your business to buy clothes. That's maybe a thing, but probably not. There's probably more that if they said to their friends, like, why do you go to this shop? They would be like, oh my gosh, they always have the cutest stuff there. I hear that a lot about local boutiques and local stores, or they have the best. When I walk in, they always get me right in. I don't have to wait. Those are the type of pieces of information that you need to market and sell to. What you don't want to do is sell vanilla. And what I mean by this is most people are like, well, we have the best customer service. We have the best products. We have, the most exceptional XYZ. Well, everybody says that. That's why I say don't market vanilla, because everybody says they're the best at customer service. And people do really care about customer service. Don't get me wrong. But you need to put them in your store and understand, what does customer service mean to them? Is it that you get them in? Is it you literally shop with them and help them decorate their space, their home, their business? Is it that you provide an experience for them and their family, so that now they don't have to sit around on Saturdays and they have something to do and take them through that entire enjoyment process of, you're not just coming to a brewery, you're coming to a place with people that are fun and we're exciting. And this is a whole different place than just another bar. And that's kind of the personality you want to show on social, and you need to connect offers to that. There's a couple things that you can do for offers. So a lot of people are like, well, what am I have no margins on my products, or it's really hard for me to put an offer out. So if you do not feel that you can give an offer of value, and what I mean by that is you need a pretty deep discount at times in order for people to take action, especially on social, because we're sitting there passive. We're not looking for your stuff. You're pushing it through our news feed. You're sending it to us. We weren't searching for you, right? So that means that those offers need to be a little bit more sticky. So I would say 50% discount, awesome. A price point that feels extremely low, meaning if 10% off doesn't matter, like we work with a jewelry store and 10% off is just, people don't see as much value. But if you say $200 off, they're like, boom, in the door. They'll claim that offer quickly. And don't be afraid to make people give you their email address for claiming that offer. There's ways that you can do that on Facebook. You can send them to a landing page if you have a website. You can, just tell them to text you. I mean, there's lots of ways you can kind of get around the technicalities if you are not a very technical person. So one is just plain old money value that you can give them. The other thing is attention. So a featured guest, or maybe they get something as a plaque or some attention value is big. People love to be recognized. It's the concept of employee of the month, right? But it's like customer of the month, and this is what you get, and we're going to showcase you, and you get to come in early hours, or you get to have a, after hours get together. There's a lot of creative ways that you can find different value points that do not directly hit your bottom line, which I know many of you probably have that concern. So think of experiential. That's usually the place that happens to. So a private, exclusive, early opening, after hours. The other thing that I really think people should be looking at in terms of offers is Disney. So I don't know if you guys have ever been to Disney World. We went last year. My kids are 8 and 10. And the way that they priced some of their fast pass and other items in the park, I thought it was just the most fascinating study in pricing, because that fast pass, I mean, as a parent, I would pay to not sit in line with my kids. And there's a lot of people that do that, right? So think of how you could take that to your local business. How can you put a value on time, lines, delivery of products, turnaround, whatever that is? Time means money to a lot of people. And oftentimes that can be a really great offer that you could give them on social.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A question come in. How can banks better utilize social media given the strict federal restrictions on what can be marketed through social media?
Oh, I love that question. So let's talk about banks as it relates also to professional services companies, because accountants, this all kind of connects the dots. So I used to work at a bank ages ago, and we would always put out newsletter type content, right? You would educate, you would help people understand the value of what you do. And you can take that same concept and flip it and put it on social. But here's what I want you to do differently. Don't get rid of the stock photos, get rid of the bank, piggy bank images. I know that's what you have. I want you to go take a stock photo shoot with your iPhone or with your good smartphone. They're good cameras, and get yourself a stock photo bank within your bank, and put people in it. Get people in front of the camera. Don't talk about the rates. Don't talk about anything that's FDIC regulated. You don't have to talk about that stuff. People aren't going to social media for that, but they are going to social media to learn about your employees, the bankers, anything that's going to build trust. And trust is built on personality, frequency, and they want to see people that they know. So that's the strategy I would recommend for any sort of financial institution, professional services companies, or anybody where that relationship is the reason you're sticky. Because there's lots of banks out there. You may have a couple of different value props. Maybe you have some products or services that are different, but oftentimes it's still the people, especially in a local bank scenario. Do we have any other ones, Molly?
That's it right now.
Okay, awesome. Remember, just put it in the chat if you have questions. All right, so that is a perfect transition to storytelling. So one of the things that I saw a few of you do really well, and others I could tell you're a little bit more shy, is get yourself in the pictures. It's one of the best ways to tell your story. If you're not comfortable with video, use photo. If you're just getting started, use your pets and tie it back to your business. There's a lot of ways that you can kind of show authenticity and talk about who you are, but that personality, that's what social media was made for, right? Like this is the opportunity that we have to really talk about who we are in an authentic way. We don't have to have a graphic designer. We can just talk about our business as it really was spoken about hundreds of years ago, right? I really think that social media marketing is so connected to the way that we olden days used to do marketing, of just storytelling and relationships and just constantly letting people know what is going on in your business. And sometimes we just overcomplicate it because the technical stuff gets in our way. And you know what else gets in our way? Most of the time is not time. People say it's time, and I understand there's a lot of time that goes into it, but it's fear. It's the fear of the grammar police. It's the fear of not looking okay in the picture. It's fear of just not technically knowing how to do it. So evaluate your social media strategy based on, am I just doing this stuff because I'm afraid? I'm afraid I'm going to look stupid. I'm afraid I'm going to post something wrong. Because if that's the case, that's the thing you need to work on and kind of solve. And maybe it's not really a time thing. The other thing I kind of wanted to call out here specifically when you're looking at storytelling is local influencers are amazing. And what I mean by that is don't worry about like Instagram influencers like is happening in the fashion industry. When you're looking for local influencers, you don't care about the number of followers these people have. What you're looking for is, are they active on the platforms? Are they connected to a lot of people that could be your potential customers? And are they already kind of fans of your business? Or do you want them to be fans of your business? And what you need to do at that point is just write down 5 to 10 people. Who are they? Who are the people that could really help you expand your message to others? And honestly, just ask them. Would you share our post? Email them. Personally ask them. We did this with, they had a rural ramble in Holstein. I didn't do this, but it was one of my friend groups that we were kind of advising on. And they did an amazing job. It was all done by small businesses and volunteers. No outside, I just supported them. We didn't actually do anything. And what they did is we wrote down a list of who are the influencers in our local markets and who do we need to get to share this content personally on their personal Facebook pages. And we just called them up and said, hey, Molly, would you share this post? This is an awesome way that we're trying to support our local community. And they're like, of course. I mean, it's just pushing a share button, right? This is awesome. They shared the post. Think about that. 10 phone calls. It seems old fashioned. It seems crazy. You can direct message them on Facebook. You can direct message them on Instagram, but 10 phone calls. And they each had networks of definitely over 100 people that are all connected locally. And a lot of those networks started crossing. So that was this concept of this is everywhere. Everybody's going to this. So those are kind of the very simple tactics that you can take that really do make a big difference.
We got another question come in.
Yeah.
What is a good balance of time to spend on social media promoting a business?
So the effort in equals outcomes, right? So most of the time you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So if your expectations are, hey, I'm just trying to keep things moving, then, 30 minutes a day is probably good. If you're like, oh, this is fueling my business right now, I do not have a lot of in-store traffic and I need to really be focused on that, I would say 1 to 2 hours a day at minimum. Most people are probably spending at least 4 to 5 hours a week if they have multiple platforms and they're posting a lot from a local strategy. And that's if you know what you're doing. So there's always a learning curve, and just kind of time yourself. I love to do time trials, which we do often with our team and for other people. And that's really what you do is you just write down the time it takes so that you can get a good idea of like, oh my gosh, this is taking me 15 hours a week. Hire this out, right? Your time is all of a sudden valued pretty easily, like high payoff items. And maybe some of the things that aren't working or you need to, shift things around. So try it for 1 week, see where you're at and see if there's ways that you can make it better and make it less time using softwares or tools. And maybe, or maybe you need to spend more time because when you're running the social media, it's working. 70% higher engagement on social media when the owner is involved. No shock there, right? The owner knows the business. They know the mission, the vision, the values. Everything about this business is in that owner's head. And so when they post on social, it comes across that way. It's one of my biggest soapbox moments of why some of the things can be handed off to other people, interns, but having that owner involved in the content, and they know the customers so much better than anybody else, it really is critical. And it could be your executive leadership team, meaning like managers, there's other people that are in that, but be careful if you just shove it over to the youngest person in the office. It happens all the time. Not saying that they don't know technically how to do it, but they may not be as connected to you and what you're trying to do in your business. I use this analogy of the hairdresser strategy because oftentimes, I don't know about your hairdresser. I love my hairdresser, but she's like the most well-connected person I know. She talks for an hour and a half, sometimes two, to so many people every single day. And if you tell her one thing, it will go very, very quickly across the network of people. And it's very similar as a social network. So think about that. Who are your hairdressers that you could help activate your message on social? And again, that doesn't cost anything. That's a free way to get your message out to more people within your community. Okay, let's talk about social commerce. So there are ways to actually integrate your e-commerce website. So if your website is, you are selling products online, you can directly connect that catalog to Facebook and Instagram. If you have shop-ins, there are ways to retarget people that have visited your website, and now you're going to show social advertising too. There are very technical setups of this, and so I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on this because we could spend an entire 2-hour session about social commerce, but I want you to know that if you have a Shopify site, if your website is built on Shopify, there is a direct integration to Facebook and Instagram, which are the two largest shopping sites that we're using and seeing right now for most local businesses. Pinterest can be awesome too, but it's a little bit different in terms of the way that you use Pinterest as opposed to Facebook and Instagram. Facebook and Instagram are going to reach the most amount of people from a shopping and discovery mindset. Okay, so Shopify sites connect directly. If you have that, look into that connection. Other sites, or even if you don't have a website, you can actually use Facebook Shop or Facebook Shopping Commerce module. Again, this gets a little bit more technical, but know that it is available and you don't need to have a website to purchase products online. They actually have a full point of sale system directly within Facebook that you can leverage. And we've seen this for businesses that just don't want to have a website, but they do want their products to be purchased online. Facebook charges, just like any other commerce site, a percentage of that total sale. And then you kind of manage it on the back end. The other thing that I want to tell you about that's not as technical, right? Because you do have to, that's like probably one of the more technical levels is when you get into the commerce. And when you are shopping on Instagram and you see like the different products tagged, all of that stuff, it's doable for a small business, but you do have to spend some time researching and getting it set up. On the flip side of that, let's go like not a lot of technical knowledge, not a lot of setup time. We did this for our local business and it worked amazing. It was a live sale and it was a retail business, modern furniture and products. She was mostly selling accessories, like home accessories. And what we did is she went live on Facebook. We announced it ahead of time, let people know. And she literally shopped the store and showed pricing. And every product was assigned a product number. And the first person to comment, we had people in the background kind of responding that said, you got it. You get 24 hours to claim and pay for your item. If not, it goes to the next person on the list. She sold out of her entire store doing one Facebook Live. Now, again, the price points were right. She was trying to clear inventory. So she did discount items, which is why people were excited to tune in. So there was that hook that we needed to get them in the door. She had someone else helping her, moderating the comments to say, it goes to you, it goes to you. It's kind of like a live auction, but it was manual. We didn't use any fancy tools and technologies to do this. We were also taking names on an Excel spreadsheet in the back end and saying, okay, Molly Keel got this vase. She's first in line. second person, second in line. And we just tracked it all on a spreadsheet. And then after the sale, we contacted those people. I put in this little description here because it's like the summary of the event itself. But it really was a successful event that anybody could replicate. All right, so reviews, and we talked a little bit about this as it relates to response, but I will tell you, reviews are one of the most powerful ways that you can sell products and services because one, search engines love them. They are a huge part of local search. And so when people are just searching your name or your category, reviews will help you be pushed up to the top more than any of the other things, really, from a local search perspective. You also want to respond to every one of those reviews, just like we talked about, and you're not going to be able to delete most of them. So the key is respond, move on. Most of the time, deleting the reviews is more effort and work. Sometimes you can get them removed, but in most cases, it's a fight that you're going to have with all the platforms. And then don't forget to take all those beautiful reviews that you're getting and use them in content. Use them as a Facebook post, use them as an Instagram post, LinkedIn, all the different platforms. Copy and paste that. Let that be the copy of the post, and then put an image of what they just talked about, a real picture. Makes a difference and will help you save time. You don't have to write the post, and it will let people see what you're about from words of your customers. You can create it in a graphic if you're a little more tech savvy, or you can, again, copy and paste and just put it in the copy of the email, or I'm sorry, of the social post. The other thing to think about is watch your location. And this primarily relates to Instagram. So with Instagram, people can tag locations. And I can look at your store and see who has tagged their pictures at your locations. Restaurants, breweries, I can't speak tonight, are definitely a really good place for that because people are taking pictures of food. Some of your stores, this may not apply to as much, but maybe they're taking pictures at a event center that your product is being used at, if you sell flowers or if you sell wedding supplies. So watch those locations on Instagram to see who's posting, how are they posting your product, and then if it's a beautiful picture, ask me if you can use it, right? I went and I searched just Jefferson, Iowa, and I put it on the location tag in Instagram. There's a little tag when you're searching on the platforms, and I just wanted to see what people were posting about. Beautiful sunsets and images. And again, you just ask those people if you can share it on your page, or even just share it at times. They posted it on a public space. And it's a really great way to just get other people introduced to who you are and your social accounts, and give them a little attention as well.
Hey Beth, we had a couple questions come in.
Sure.
First one is, if you want to use someone's review in a post, do you give credit to the author?
Yes, usually I just say -Beth or -Molly because you've already asked them. That's great. Otherwise, you can put their full name. They posted it in the public space, so that really kind of solves some of the copyright options. But I always do super double safe standards where I would ask the person individually, like, love this review. Do you mind if we share this with our community? And they say, sure, no problem. And you say, great. And if that's the case, use their full name if they post their full name on their Facebook page or their Instagram account, because in a local community, people know Cheryl or people know John. And so it's a really awesome place to show what your people love you for.
Good deal. And then the other one was, how might someone determine the best platforms for their business when it's so daunting to be on so many?
Yes. Okay. So that's a really good question. Here's where I want you to think about. So in general, Facebook across the board has the most amount of people and the most amount of search engine weight. So to not have a Facebook page right now, there is some risks. And in most local businesses, I would say you got to deal with Facebook just because it's the largest one. It's a great place to reach boomers if you're not doing any ads, but if you're using targeting and ad dollars, you can reach any age demographic with that platform, just because the massive amount of daily active users and users in a lot of our local communities. So Facebook is a big one. Instagram also, for some businesses, makes a lot of sense. Again, if you're not doing ads, it tends slightly younger, but there is a lot of different age demographics on Instagram. So don't let that get in your head that it's just the young people on Instagram, because it definitely spans demographics and can cross a lot of barriers. I would say the ones that you don't want to use unless you have a really good reason, local businesses on Twitter are just not as engaged with. That doesn't mean that if you're, I could create an exception to each one of these rules, but it is a lot of volume of content. Twitter moves fast, tweets move fast. So people in the ag industry may have some exceptions on that, sports news, some exceptions, politics, some exceptions. But if you're just a local business, like a boutique, I would set Twitter aside. It's a lot of work, and I don't think you're going to get the return or results from that platform as a local business. The other one I would say is Google My Business. And a lot of people forget about this social platform, but it's when I Google you and there's that like picture of your business and your address and your reviews. That's actually a social platform, and you can post from that. You can put offers on that. It's completely free. It's connected to maps, so it's really important to keep updated and relevant. And if you were to pick 3, those are the ones I would pick. Google My Business, you don't need to put a ton of work into. Facebook and Instagram are the workhorses. They take a lot of time, they take a lot of content, and again, it's what you put into them is what you'll get out. I hope that helps. LinkedIn is also amazing. Doesn't always make sense for retail businesses, but if you are in a professional services category or trying to reach a more technical or affluent audience, it's a really good spot to post content. There's lots of other ones. So I want to kind of touch on a few of the other ones, primarily Snapchat and TikTok. I get a lot of questions about those. I would start using those platforms for inspiration, right? Or influencers, but setting an account up on behalf of your business on those 2 platforms requires a very unique strategy, and you need to be able to really keep it up. So awesome idea. I love TikTok. I am a huge fan. I think it could be amazing for local businesses, but you need to understand the platform and have a personality that's in videos. So before you even get started on that. So what I would do first is set it up personally, and then think of those TikToks that are really funny and interesting, post them on your Facebook and Instagram account. There's definitely a lot of cross-posting that happens, and use Snapchat to create fun images, post it on your Facebook and Instagram account. It doesn't have to just stay on one platform, and create it in another one. So conversion, this is what most people think of when they think of social selling. Conversions meaning someone filled out a form that wants to be a customer. Someone bought something online. Someone took an action that I understand to be of value to my business. Awesome, really great place to strive to get to. You need to know your metrics, and you need to have the tools in place to be able to really measure that. If you do not have a Facebook and Instagram pixel set up, you need one, and that will be critical to those conversions. And it's a constant analyze and adjustment. Do not just set up a Facebook page, cross your fingers and walk away, or set up a Facebook ad, cross your fingers and walk away. It can charge you. I've seen people mess up and accidentally hit $100 a day instead of $100 total budget. I mean, I've had that more than I can probably even count. So just know that if you're going to play with ads, they're awesome and impactful, but you want to kind of double check the budgets and that you know a little bit what you're doing. You're not going to break Facebook, but you could inadvertently spend extra money if you're not 100% sure of what you're doing. All right, so questions being, great ideas, Beth. I don't have time to do any of this stuff. What am I going to do? Right? I hear this all the time. It's why we started a business to help handle this. But local businesses, it's hard. I get it. So here's what I want you to think about. First of all, you have to get ahead of the content game. Find evergreen content that can last you at least 2 months. And what that means is just do a little photo shoot. Think about things that you could take a picture now and post next month. Whether or not you use a tool and you just have it in a spreadsheet, I highly recommend a social media software to manage this stuff. But if you don't have the resources for that, somehow you need to get a game plan at least a month in advance. Then if you do that, if you can get 80% of your content planned a month in advance, that 20% feels a lot less work. It's only once a week, or it's only once every other week now that you have to create timely content of what's going in your business. And you're not on that hamster wheel of what am I going to post today? Because that's where the creativity gets stifled. That's where the content gets a little stale. So working ahead is absolutely critical. Finding a content calendar, getting a plan in place. So it's not just like, what am I going to post today, right? You need some sort of a plan to say, here's what I'm going to post. Here's why I'm going to post it, and check in to see what's working and what's not. Most of the platforms or social media softwares do have scheduling involved. And again, some of them have price points, $100, $50, $150 a month. But think about that as a time commitment. And oftentimes the softwares will pay themselves back very, very quickly because you're not always on that hamster wheel of content. And then one other thing just to call out, I say stay no to stock photos. I see many of you using them. Some of you are not using any, which I'm very proud of. Others use memes and funny humor pieces that they're sharing. Don't worry about those. You can definitely use those. But what I really want you to think about is, if I'm posting this, go audit your Facebook page and your Instagram account. Does this mean something to me? As a human, do I like what I'm seeing? And sometimes as marketers, we think people like, oh, here's a great picture of two people shaking hands, right? It's the stock photo everybody knows about. But if it doesn't mean something to someone, it's just noise. And your goal is to cut through the noise, get your local business noticed, and really make an impact on your community and the people that you're serving. And so try really, really hard to not use stock photos and take real pictures of your customers, your products. Again, I was looking at some of your accounts and I love some of the images that you're doing. It's okay that they're not perfect. That is 100% okay. Another tip for photos is if you have like a setting, so let's say you want to take a picture of your shop or your boutique, make sure that you give people kind of a finite space. So just a picture of the storefront is fine. But if you want to sell products on social, you need to get like a vignette. So 3 to 4 products that people can see how they go together. These 3 vases would look so cute with this tray, right? So that people love to see that. And we have retailers that we work with that people, I want all of those. Just buy them, give them to me. I'll pick them up at the store, right? There's no fancy technology. They literally just says, I'm getting all those, hold those for me. Shop owner holds them, person comes in, purchases them with a credit card, and good to go. So small vignettes, not large, because then it becomes overwhelming, right? So like the quilting and the fabric stores, I love some of those images of like, here's our new metallics. Love that. I can understand that grouping of images. I know what I'm looking at, and it doesn't feel overwhelming to me as a shopper. You want to think in that shopping mentality, right? You know how some people like those discount stores where there's all the things mixed up. They're like, I'm not going in there because I can't process the information, so it's easy to buy. That's what you want to do on social. Remove that friction so that people look at your Facebook page, look at your Instagram account and say, ooh, that's cool. I want that. And that is one of the keys to start selling online. All right, I'm going to open it up for more questions here. But before that, I want you all to fill this out because these presentations, these trainings and workshops, full of a lot of information. I 100% know that. But what are you going to do to change the way that you're selling on social? Of all the things we talked about, or other things maybe that you've just thought about that you haven't taken action on, commit to one of those. Because oftentimes, again, it's not about what we don't know, it's about what we don't do. And taking action on these things is really how you start to make incremental change that can affect your business and your bottom line. So thank you very much, everybody. I'll just open it up for questions.
We did have a couple more come through chat.
Sure.
First one is, what is evergreen content?
Oh, good question. So evergreen content is that content that if you posted today or posted in 6 months, nobody really knows. So a picture of a sunset that without snow could be used for all the months that it doesn't snow. A picture of your mug, like maybe you have a branded mug with your store name on it. You take a picture of that up close. Nobody knows when that was taken, right? A picture of your team. Yeah. But if you take a picture of your entire team this month and you post it next month, people won't know. And so you're just trying to build up that bank of content so that you don't constantly have to be taking net new pictures every single day. There's a spot for those, don't get me wrong, those do work, but you want to try to get ahead of that.
All right, next question is crystal ball. Where do you see social media being in 1 year, 3 years, etc.?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So I think that from what we're seeing for 2021 is people are going to be more focused with social and not try to be everywhere to everyone. They're really trying to make better content on fewer platforms because it's just too much, the volume of content. Large brands and small businesses have a lot to deal with. I think some of the privacy concerns are legit, and the conversations about some of those privacy concerns will continue. But I also know that most people say they want privacy, but they don't even check their own privacy settings. So there is a disconnect in that real world of what our actions say and how tethered we are to our social platforms and what our the conversations say. In the future, what I think will happen is I really think there's always a boomerang, right? Where like Facebook feels big. A lot of people don't post on Facebook as much as they used to because it's like you're yelling into an auditorium of everybody you've ever known, where some of these small intimate platforms, like the TikToks of the world and even Snapchat, they feel more intimate. And I think that's what, as humans, we are going to start craving that again. We want the big to go smaller. We want to keep the big for our contracts and our photos and our memories, but we really want that feeling of true connection with other humans. And I think we'll start seeing the platforms evolve to that and match our attention spans, which right now are very, very short. So that's where I think social is going. That was a fun question. Thanks for asking. Anything else?
Nothing else through chat.
All right. Well, I think we are right on time here. So if anybody has any follow-up questions, I'm happy to take those as well for your individual business. I hope you learned a little bit, and thank you for spending your evening with us. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you did too.